Inside a city office, a group of people is unconscious, wrapped in giant bugs. Suddenly, a massive insect stinger appears and stabs one of the employees. This strange event began a few days ago. Cooper is late for work again, and as usual, he's arguing with his father on the phone. His dad is fed up with Cooper always causing trouble and calls him a disgrace to the family. While Cooper tries to convince him that he's not a failure, he nearly gets hit by a car, but manages to dodge it just in time. Cooper finally makes it to the office and quickly heads to his desk, pretending he's been there working the whole time. But it doesn't fool his boss, Morin, who calls him into her office. She plays some recordings that show Cooper acting unprofessionally clients and then fires him. But just as she does, a deafening noise rings through the building and everyone passes out. A few days later, the office is covered in giant bug cocoons created by massive insects which now roam the office, stinging their victims. Cooper wakes up inside one of these cocoons, breaks free, and immediately vomits some strange goo. Suddenly, a giant beetle attacks him, and in a panic, Cooper fights back until he manages to push it away. So after calming down, he spots Morin trapped in a cocoon and rushes to free her. When she wakes up, she feels just as sick as Cooper. Both of them remember hearing the loud noise before blacking out, but neither can recall what happened afterward. Morin mentions she was supposed to meet her daughter, Sarah, so they both run outside to see what's going on. Outside, they find the streets in the same state, with people trapped in large cocoons everywhere. They find Sarah trapped inside her car's cocoon. Cooper volunteers to free her, but when she wakes up, she misunderstands what's happening and sprays Cooper in the eyes with gas. Suddenly, a giant wasp swoops in, grabs Morin, and flies off with her. Sarah screams for her mother but can't help. Cooper, still recovering from the gas in his eyes, agrees to leave with Sarah. However, as they move away, giant bugs begin to appear all around them. Sarah accidentally knocks over a garbage can and realizes that the bugs react to sound. To distract them, she activates her car's alarm. The noise attracts the bugs, allowing her and Cooper to escape safely. They soon reach a cafe, which is also full of cocooned people. Sarah wants to help, but Cooper argues that it's too risky and could take too much time to explain everything to everyone they free. Suddenly, a man named Hugo grabs Sarah by the neck and Cooper rushes to defend her, but Hugo punches him. A huge bug appears and attacks Cooper, giving Hugo a chance to let go of Sarah and kill the creature. While Hugo is distracted, Sarah frees 6 other people from the cocoons, including a police officer. The newly formed group decides to work together and plans how to proceed. Roger suggests they leave using his truck, but Sarah warns that the noise will attract the bugs. Ignoring her, Roger and another man named PJ go ahead with the plan. As Sarah predicted, the truck's engine noise draws giant beetles that quickly destroy the vehicle. PJ manages to jump out but breaks his leg while trying to escape, and he is soon run over by another truck. Meanwhile, Roger stays behind the wheel and is captured by the beetles, who reach into the truck and drag him away. Back with the group, they are fighting off the bugs too. In the chaos, the police officer is killed and Hugo's father, Albert, gets stung in the back, leaving a strange mark on his skin. The survivors retreat to a nearby building and hide inside. They decide to head to the roof to get a better view of the area. From there, they spot a mysterious red smoke in the distance and a swarm of wasps flying away from it. The group discusses their next move, and Cooper suggests going to his father's house, as he's a former soldier who has a bunker stocked with supplies. But the trip would be long, and they aren't sure how to get there safely. While they're talking, a bunch of bugs flies by, but when Lychee waves her arms, the bugs don't react and simply fly away. The group realizes that the creatures are blind and rely on sound to find their victims. Wanting to learn more, they trap one of the beetles by luring it into a closet with a radio. Lychee, a scientist, suggests they milk each and cuff the beetle like a snake to study its venom, which grosses everyone out, but they agree to help. They manage to extract the venom safely without anyone getting hurt. While Lychee analyzes the liquid, the others share their experiences. They all heard a strange noise, blacked out, and woke up inside cocoon. Lychee figures out that the beetle's venom is a sedative and discovers the bugs emit a red gas, but she's unsure of its purpose. The group decides to stay in the building for the night and head to Cooper's dad's place in the morning, stopping by each of their homes along the way. Later, Cooper can't sleep because he has a strange feeling he's met Sarah before, but can't remember where. When he goes to find food, he's startled by bugs crawling out of a box and is further spooked when Cindy appears behind him. She tells him she works in TV and suggests they head to the studio to call for help. Cooper likes the idea. In the morning, the group wakes up to the sound of the beetle in the closet screeching, likely calling for help from other bugs. Albert quickly kills it and they decide it's time to leave. However, Lychee chooses to stay behind to wake more people, hoping they can help fight the creatures. The others head out, and on the way, Cooper tries to talk to Sarah, but it turns into a sarcastic argument. When they reach Albert and Hugo's house, Cooper goes inside with them to look for Hugo's mom. While waiting, Sarah is surprised to find a note with Cooper's phone number in her pocket. Inside, the group is upset to discover Hugo's mother has died, and a furious Albert grabs a gun. Cooper warns that shooting will attract more bugs, but Albert doesn't care. Next, the group arrives at Cindy's brother's house, where they find people in cocoons arranged in a line. Suddenly, Cindy's brother, now a half-bug mutant, begins. When he sees the group, he attacks, injuring Cooper. Cindy tries to communicate with him, but he's no longer human and doesn't understand. Acting like a wild animal, he grabs Cindy, forcing Hugo to rescue her. Despite Cindy's pleas, it's clear her brother can't be saved, so Hugo and Albert kill him using forks. The group hurries to Cindy's house to spend the night. Hugo and Albert lock all the doors and windows for safety. While Sarah is treating Cooper's wound, he tells her that if he ever turns into one of the creatures, she should run away instead of attacking him. He also confesses that during his whole life, he imagined what he would do in an apocalypse. He dreamed of living in the woods with a girl like Sarah and repopulating the world. They talk for a while and grow closer, especially when Cooper opens up about losing his mom recently. At the same time, Albert starts exploring the house but begins feeling unwell. He doesn't mention his pain to Sarah when he runs into her but asks her to care for his son just as she takes care of Cooper. The next day, the group continues their journey and sees the mysterious smoke again in the distance. Sarah believes it's coming from the bug's nest and wants to head there to look for her mother, but Cooper convinces her otherwise, pointing out that their chances of success are extremely low. Suddenly, a swarm of bugs flies overhead, so the group stays quiet to avoid being noticed. Feeling nervous, Cooper and Sarah hold hands, but Cindy sees this and, driven by jealousy, starts screaming to attract the creature's attention. The others try to calm her, but she refuses to stop, forcing Albert to shoot and kill her. As the bugs attack, Albert manages to shoot several of them, but one of the creatures grabs him and tries to fly away. Cooper quickly grabs the gun and shoots the monster, freeing Albert just in time. Another bug attacks Cooper, but Sarah jumps in to help. The bug lets go of Cooper and grabs Sarah, flying away with her. By the end of the attack, only Cooper, Albert, and Hugo remain. They walk until they reach Cooper's father's house. Ethan, Cooper's dad, is outside calling for his missing dog when they arrive. Cooper warns him not to make loud noises, but Ethan ignores him. Later that evening, Ethan gathers everyone inside to talk about their next move. Suddenly, Albert loses a tooth, and before anyone can react, he starts transforming into a bug-like mutant and attacks Cooper. During the fight, Hugo is forced to shoot his own father, just as Albert had once asked him to. Hugo breaks down in tears while explaining this. The gunshot noise attracts more creatures. Ethan manages to kill one before the three of them run to hide in a bedroom, only to encounter Ethan's dog. It turns out the dog has mutated as well, but Ethan manages to distract it with a toy. As they escape, a swarm of large beetles attacks, and the trio runs until they reach a bunker where they finally find safety for the night. A flashback shows how Cooper first met Sarah. They had a minor car accident, argued about whose fault it was, and Cooper gave her his number, pretending it was for insurance purposes, but it was really an excuse to ask her out. Back in the present, Cooper wakes up, realizing where he recognized her face from. During breakfast, Ethan mentions that the radio is silent, meaning there's no help coming from the government. He wants to plan a route to safety, but Cooper is tired of following his dad's plans. He announces that he will go to the bug nest to rescue Sarah. Cooper asks his father for help, but Ethan refuses. Hugo offers to join him, but Cooper doesn't want to put him in danger and insists that he stay behind. A while later, as Cooper walks alone down the road, he stops to relieve himself when suddenly a man appears and points a gun at him. Without listening to anything Cooper says, the man arrests him. Cooper is taken to a jail cell where he meets another prisoner who only speaks Spanish. Luckily, Cooper speaks Spanish too and learns that their captors believe everyone will eventually turn into mutants, and they are cleaning the streets like vigilantes. Cooper's cellmate reveals that he was part of Lychee's group, but they were unable to fight off the insects. The red smoke they saw earlier was flammable and caused a fire that destroyed their shelter, leaving him as the only survivor. Sarah wakes up in the bug's nest and sees the queen eating hundreds of cocooned humans and laying eggs. She starts moving around, hoping to find her mother. Meanwhile, the vigilantes bring Ethan and Hugo to the police station. Cooper explains that only people with a bite mark can turn into mutants, so they check Ethan and find out he's already been stung. A gunfight breaks out, and as everyone tries to defend themselves, a man in a cell turns into a mutant, but stray bullets quickly take him down. Ethan then takes down the vigilantes. Cooper, Hugo, and Ethan grab as many weapons as they can and leave the station, determined to find the nest. They find some bicycles and ride together, while Ethan tells them how he was stung. He freed the neighbor's dog from a cocoon, which started barking and attracted the bugs. This noise makes Ethan feel sick, and in a panic, he handcuffs Cooper to a tree and knocks Hugo out to protect them. After saying goodbye to his son and dropping the keys for later, Ethan heads into the nest. Seconds later, Hugo wakes up and frees Cooper, and the boys run to the nest as well. Inside, Sarah is carefully moving around when she gets startled by Ethan. Thinking she's under attack, she stabs him in the hand with a knife. Ethan quickly introduces himself, and Sarah cries, admitting she hasn't found her mother. After Ethan comforts her, they start looking for the queen, but she isn't where Sarah last saw her. Instead, Queen is on the ceiling, ready to attack, so Ethan opens fire. However, the queen is tougher than the other bugs and won't go down easily. Cooper and Hugo hear the gunshots and rush to help. At that moment, the queen lets out a painful, deafening sound, but since Hugo has hearing problems, he isn't affected and throws explosives into the queen's mouth just in time. Cooper is also shooting at her, but Ethan starts to turn into a monster, so Cooper, Hugo, and Sarah decide to run. As they make their way to the exit, the explosives go off and flames engulf the nest, destroying it and knocking out the survivors. Later, Cooper wakes up in the hospital and finds out that Sarah and Hugo are okay. Outside, they hear birds singing instead of the bugs screeching. Thinking it's over, the trio goes outside to start freeing people, and Cooper and Sarah decide to date. Just then, they notice something in the distance that scares them. Ikatsa calling you not. Subscribe for popcorn. We are racing towards 1,000 subscribers.